Good evening, my dear friends. Yesterday, we discussed about Nagara form of art. Out of the 7-8 forms which I mentioned. Namaste, sir. Out of the 7-8 forms, we studied about Nagara style of art, wherein now 3 substyles we discussed. Odisha, Khajuraho, and Solanki styles we discussed. I am moving on to, continuing the same topic, I am moving on to South Indian art, starting with Pallavas. Mahendravarman, Narasimhavarman, Rajasimhavarman, and Nandivarman. These are 4 important Pallava rulers, wherein now groups have started based on their names with relation to architecture, temple architecture. Mahendravarman group, rock cut temples were promoted. They followed Nagara style of art. Somebody said anything?
Someone is not on mute, sir. 1 second. I'll mute everyone. Yeah.
నమస్కారం
సార్ నమస్తే.
ఇవాళ మనకు కొత్త స్టూడెంట్ ఒక అమ్మాయి భాను అని చేరింది.
ఓహో.
She is appearing for this June.
She wished me.
She is from our own institute, Narayana Institute.
I see.
She did her intermediate and degree. And she attended Vajiram also this year.
Okay.
And so now she is our student from today.
Okay, good. Continue, sir.
Change, sir. Please continue, sir.
Both are from Narayana and Vajiram. Good.
Okay.
So, Nandivarman, I'm talking about Mahendravarman group. Mahendravarman followed Nagara style of architecture. Their mantapas were used for as assembly halls. That was the significant point there. Narasimhavarman group, mandapas were divided into rathas. You see 5 rathas, Mahabalipuram. This is Narasimhavarman style. Each mantapa is now divided into smaller mantapas. Dharmaraja Radha is the bigger one. Draupadi Radha is the smaller one. Rajasimhavarman group started real structural temples, got started in Rajasimhavarman's period. Till then, they were basically following Nagara style of architecture, temple architecture. Then Nandivarman group, he went for smaller temples, not a single big temple. Instead of that, he went for more smaller temples in the same premises. That is the style adopted during Nandivarman's time. After Pallavas, Cholas came into power. They promoted the Dravidian style of architecture. In Chola art, there used to be many aspects were added. Yes, you see, in Chola art, boundary walls became, for every temple, boundary walls started coming up. Earlier temples were there, no boundary walls. In Nagara style also, boundary wall was not there. But in Chola time, they initiated constructing a boundary wall for every temple. Gopurams, gateways to the temples, and Panchayatana formula is followed in Chola art also. Additionally, boundaries have come. Gopuram, as usual, it was there. More gateways, that means now in 4 directions, 4 gateways to the temple were designed during that time. Now, if you go to any temple, you will find either 2 gateways or 3 gateways. Minimum 2 gateways will be there. In some of the places, bigger temples in Tamil Nadu, you will find 4 gateways. This is formed during Chola time. And Vimana, Sikhara, Vimana, Kalasya, all these things now we discussed. So a Vimana is there. And Pushkarani water tank is for the first time initiated within the premises of the temple during Chola period. And Dwarapalakas, for the deity, Sanctum Sanctorum used to have Dwarapalakas. They are the guards of the entrance. Yakshis as figurines as Dwarapalakas was also introduced during Chola time. Till now, in all different styles of architecture, these points you have never seen. Either they are not there or they are not developed at all. But Chola period is the first time a proper temple started coming up with entrances, Dwarapalakas, Yakshas as Dwarapalakas. There is a proper water tank within the premises of the temple. See, these are the advancements. Chola, some of the sculpture, famous sculpture, one can notice from the Chola period is Nataraja in a Tandava dance posture. That is the current day Nataraja with one leg up and then now one leg on the ground with two hands to one direction with four hands. That is the first Nataraja statue was sculpted during Chola period. After that, other schools have come up. I said Nayaka school was one of the schools. Nayaka rollers during 7th AD, Madurai, around Madura school of architecture has come. This has got influence of Islamic architecture. Madurai school of architecture, that means no, Nayaka school of architecture is influenced by Islamic architecture. Prakarams in portico, roofed embroidery passageways. These are two features now which symbolize Islamic architecture, which was adopted by Nayaka rulers around Madura time. Gopuram happened to be a bigger Gopuram, unlike previous era, unlike previous kingdoms. Now here in Nayaka kingdom, Gopuram was big. Then I am going to Hoysala architecture. Hoysala, Beluru, Halebedu, Sringeri. These are the areas you find Hoysala architecture. Multiple shrines around a central hall is the feature. In Hoysala, you find multiple shrines will be there around the main deity. It is not 4. In Panchayatan style, a minimum of 4 temples are there. That means 4 temples in 4 directions to main deity. But here, multiple temples are built in the same premises. Multiple temples were raised. All multiple temples were internally connected. So from the above, if you see Gopurams of all multiple temples, you can see connected to each other. And like a satellite, the plan of these temples would be like a satellite. So a chloride stone is used. Earlier you have seen red sandstones are used, other sandstones are used, creamy sandstones are used. Here for the first time, chloride stone is used. Chloride is a kind of a stone, specked stone. It's not red in color. A different kind of a available stone. Chloride stone is the main material used in Hoysala architecture. Upraised platforms are called Jagati. And then their staircases, that means when you are going to reach the temple, you cross a staircase and then you reach the one floor of the temple. The staircases used to be zigzag in nature. They are not plain steps. It's kind of steps are same, but the pattern is zigzag. You see, all around it, the staircases all around the temple, staircases used to be zigzag in fashion. That means crisscross. Then Pala and Sena school. They were predominant in Bengal, 8th AD to 12th AD. They patronized Mahayana Buddhism. Curved or slopy roofs, terracotta bricks, lustrous finish. These are the three main features of Pala School of Art. Then Vijayanagara style. It's a combination of Chola, Hoysalas, Pandya and Chalukya. Indo-Islamic style is adopted here. Monolithic rock pillars is the main feature of Vijayanagara architecture. Wherever you are finding a pillar carved in one stone, that must be the architecture belongs to Vijayanagara Empire, Vijayanagara days. So monolithic rock pillar is the main feature. And mantapas you have seen in all previous architecture styles. Here, one big mantapa called Kalyana Mantapa, wherever a temple is planned, a Kalyana Mantapa is also planned. That means king was looking the welfare of the his subjects. Whenever no Kalyana Mantapas, no separate marriage halls were there during that time, whenever a village or somebody has to perform a marriage, they will use Kalyana Mantapas in the temples as the marriage function halls. So Kalyana Mantapa in every temple used to be a bigger Mantapa. And the pillars for Kalyana Mantapa will be monolithic in nature, and all imaginary figures, celestial figures are carved on the pillars of the Kalyana Mantapa. Here Kalyana Mantapa and then imaginary figures of the Kalyana Mantapa. Then monolithic rock pillars. These three are the main features of Vijayanagara style of temple architecture. With this, we have covered the ancient architectural styles. We are going to the medieval architectural styles. Mostly Islamic rulers, Delhi Sultanate. These are the areas we are going to cover. 12th AD onwards, that is the onset of medieval period. Islamic rulers have started coming from 12th AD. They adopted a combined approach of Persian style and Indian style. Indian style is already there with the Indian sculptors here. While they are coming from the Gulf of Persia, they brought Persian style of architecture to India. So a confluence of Persian style as well as Indian style was used by the Mughal rulers. Arches, domes, minars, mortar and cement use. This was the predominant features of Mughal architecture. They avoided human and animal figurines. Earlier, I told you in all architectural forms, sculpture role used to be either carving in the shape of the gods, animals, or human beings. Now that is completely avoided by the Islamic rulers. Their planning used to be very spacious, massive structures they used to plan, and decorating in the arches, the decoration used to be in the form of calligraphy. The Persian letters or Arabic letters used to be there in the form of calligraphy. That used to be the design. There is no separate design. Calligraphy is used as a main design in Islamic architecture. That was called Arabesque method also. This decoration is called Arabesque because Arab area basically followed this kind of a pattern. Since they have adapted Arabic style, that's called Arabic. And windows used to be with jolly works. Jolly works means no, either with cement or any other structure. A lot of holes used to be there. This hole serves two purposes. One, it allows air and light inside the area. That's an advantageous feature. When air and light is freely passing inside, then infestation with the insects and all that now would be very much limited. Every aspect will have an indirect effect on a certain principle or requirement for living. So air and light in a structure relates to the insects, dominance of insects, or no destruction of the wood by insects. All these reasons can be ascribed to the philosophy behind architectural design. Then came Delhi Sultanate. Delhi Sultanate is 1206 to 1526 AD. They adopted an imperial style and provincial style. Imperial style means related to the ruler. Whoever is there in the ruling, it went by his whims and fancies. Whatever he desires came into existence. Provincial style is not related to the main ruler of Delhi Sultanate, but the subordinate areas, large subordinate areas, wherever whatever kind of a ruler, be Hindu, Muslim, whoever he is, what he adapted, what he patronized, came into existence. Delhi stuck to the whims and fancies of the Delhi Sultan, but whereas his subordinate areas, whoever is in power, they adopted their own styles also. Then imperial style, going by each dynasty, slave dynasty, remodeling, they haven't started any new thing. They started remodeling existing structures into new forms. Remodeling the existing structures. Slave dynasty mentality, they are not the lavish spenders. They wanted to use the existing constructions. They have not greatly patronized this art and then painting these forms, but they started converting existing structures into new structures, remodeling. Then came Khilji. Khilji time, red sandstone was used in Khilji times. His architecture style is called Seljuk style. Then Tughlaq, grey sandstone is used in Tughlaq style. Arc and lintel methods were started during then. That means arc, wherever a deviation is to be taken, a design is to be created. Arc designs were patronized then. Lintel, and then going to the roof. Constructing an area up to lintel. After that, continuing it to the roof area started during Khilji time, Tughlaq time. Tughlaq used grey sandstone. Khilji used red sandstone. Then came Lodis. Lodis started tombs, double domes. Tombs, double domes, and octagonal shapes with 15-meter diameter. This is started by Lodi. No famous thing, but architecture means constructing part, anything, any design related to construction, be it a tomb, temple, or anything that has to be taken under architecture. Lodi is the one who started developing tombs, and then double domes for the tombs. Octagonal shapes, these are created by Lodi. Then provincial school, these are the Delhi Sultans. Then I am talking about provincial schools. There is a Bengal school. Bengal school started using brick and black marble. Sloping started with Bangla roofs. Then Malwa school, Bengal school is one provincial style. Malwa school, they started using different colored stones and marble. There is no, they have not restricted to one particular thing, like red sandstone, gray sandstone. Likewise, they have not restricted. They used all colored stones, and then no all colors marbles started used by Malwa school. Large windows under the influence of European style started in the areas of Malwa. Next style is Jaunpur school. Under provincial schools, School of Architecture, I told you about Bengal school. I told you about Malwa school. The third one is Jaunpur school. Jaunpur school avoided minars. In Islamic, in Sultanate, minars were started. Now in Jaunpur styles, minars were eliminated. Painting on screens in prayer halls started during Jaunpur style. The fourth one under provincial style is Bijapur school. Bijapur school is started by Adil Shah. 3-arched facade, bulbous dome, use of cornices. It's a kind of a style, but you will remember 3-arched facade and bulbous dome. Already it's a dome shape, but still the bulb of the dome is increased to a particular size. These started by Bijapur school. Bijapur school basically dominated by Islamic rulers. With these 4 schools, the architecture part related to medieval period is completed. I am moving on to the modern architecture. Modern architecture means after Mughal Empire, when Europeans started coming into India, that is the style. Portuguese, French, Dutch, Danish, and British, they came into power subsequently for lesser number of lesser period or no more period. Portuguese brought Iberian style of architecture. That means they concentrated only in ports and waterways. Portuguese style was very much limited to ports, trading ports, and water houses. Whatever design happened during then, it was only with relation to establishing a port or establishing or using a waterway, coastlines. Then in houses, they started patio houses. That means with veranda, with a grill. How that kind of architecture was started by Portuguese. That was called a Baroque style. This style is used particularly in building churches, cathedrals in Goa, Basilica of Jesus. These are all the structures Portuguese have built. Then came French, Pondicherry, Chandranagore. These are all the places they were prominent then. Urban city planning started with French. They called it as a Cartesian grid plans. Grid means is nothing. For every kilometer, every square kilometer is considered a grid area. And then in square kilometers, they design the lanes, internal lanes. Opposite to, adjacent to both sides, houses are designed. And then a prayer hall is designed, a ground is designed, a common facility like a park or a hospital or a school These are all no areas given in the grid. Areas initially located, identified in the grid. That means now proper planning of a town is started in French period. Then British, they brought into India a Gothic style. Indo-Gothic style is the style prominently developed by British people. Gothic is in churches, you will see windows with stained glasses and peak arches are the windows are window arches, it peaks in the middle, larger arches peaking in the middle, and then using stained glass for windows at various places. That is the main style of Gothic art. This was used by, mostly this was used by churches built by British people all over Europe. That style was brought by British people to India, and here with confluence of Indian already existing style of architecture, Gothic form, both they started coming into prominence. Some of the features, Indo-Gothic form is also called Victorian style, blend of Indian and Gothic, Persian. Large elaborate structures, walls are thinner, arches are pointed, not curved, large windows, steel, iron, and then concrete material. These are used with stained glass. British also, then Neo-Roman style is another style propagated by British. Edwin Lutyens and then Herbert Baker, they started doing this architectural designs in Delhi, our presidential building, and then parliament. These are designed by Edwin Lutyens. This period is called Rome of Hinduism. Circular buildings were started then. Remember, circular building, our Parliament House is a kind of a circular building. Upturned dome, these are the features in Neo-Roman style. Edwin Lutyens is one name you need to remember because he designed President's Palace and then and parliamentary. Post-independent architecture. After independence, what happened? After 1947. Revivalist, modernist forms have come. Some designed on colonial rule and some started developing on its own. Post-revival, one thing which you need to remember is Le Corbusier is the one who designed a city, Chandigarh. This Chandigarh city plan was basically a form where earlier city planning was started. This is an advancement of that city planning, and that's how we got a wonderful city, Chandigarh. Chandigarh was totally designed by Le Corbusier. Entire thing is divided into 50 sectors. Each sector is given every facility, where houses should be, the residential houses should be there, where commercial have to be there, where school buildings have to be there, where and then entertainment facilities should be there. Everything is pre-planned. It is in such a way that in between houses or onto the street, you will never find even a small bunk also. Anything you want to buy, you will have to go to the residential commercial area of that particular sector. Suppose you are talking about 17th sector. 17th sector, anybody wants to buy anything, even a small matchbox, they will have to go to the 17th sector commercial area. There, everything you can see, right from small to big, everything you see. Even that's everything is in only one design is given. Inside you can convert it to anything, but outside everything looks like same design, same kind of a structure at all places. This will not apply to the houses. This applies to the common areas. So Le Corbusier is the one who designed Chandigarh. Subsequently, till very recently, 40-50 years ago, basing on the model of Chandigarh, again, Bhubaneswar is planned. Bhubaneswar is also a model taken after Chandigarh. This is also divided into sectors. Entire Bhubaneswar was a developed city. No structures were there. Barren area is taken, that is converted into a city. That's now capital of Orissa. Then Larry Baker is one designer, which name now you need to keep in mind. Larry Baker is an architect of the poor. This Larry Baker used to create houses, used to create any structures using all unwanted material, waste material. He used to create houses, modern houses for the people. His architecture is famous in Kerala, particularly. He started using burnt brick, and then kacha brick in same structure. He used to create two walls, outside with burnt bricks, inside with mud bricks, that means kacha bricks, unburnt bricks. In between two walls, he used to keep a space of 4 inches to 6 inches, so that temperature that's coming out from inside has to raise the temperature of the first wall. Again, it has to pass a vacuum. Then it has to go to the second wall. It has to again raise the temperature of the second wall. Then it has to enter inside. This technique was greatly used in rearing of the silkworms by farmers. To control the temperature, without electricity, without any modern means, he used to reduce the inside temperature of the house by raising two walls in between, keeping a gap of 6 inches. This I have personally seen when I was working in Central Silk Board. We used to adopt Larry Baker models for rearing silkworm houses. For bringing in this model, we used to recommend to the farmers, where a government was giving a subsidy and loan. Farmers started getting the benefit out of this particular idea and method devised by Larry Baker. That's why Larry Baker is ever remembered in the minds of Indian people as the architecture of the poor. Then architecture part I have covered, and then paintings part I need to cover. Indian paintings over different ages. So starting with Indian paintings, miniature style was adopted by Mughals and Rajputs. Principles of painting, and then rock paintings have got 3 schools. Bhimbekta is one style, Mirzapur is another style, Panchmari, Panchmarri, Panchmari is a place, but the style is named after Panchmari. Painting pottery you have seen in Indus Valley civilization. 3rd AD onwards now. Painting, Vatsayana has mentioned 6 principles for any painting. What are the 6 principles? There should be a variety of form, which is called Rupa Bheda, and likeness of the subject should be one of the characters of a painting. If you are painting something, if you are painting a dog, it should at least look like a dog. It should not look like a pig. That is the likeness of the subject. That is, in Sanskrit, he called it Sadrisyam. That is good picture, Sadrisyam. Then there should be gleam and luster should be there to the painting. That is Bhava, he called. Mixture of colors, another character. That is Varnika Bhanga. Then proportion of the subject. No, they should not be, when you are painting something, your hand is big, nose is small, face is small, and then leg is very big, Likewise, no, it should not look like that. He called proportion of the subject, he called pramanam. There should be a standard measurement for everything when you are drawing something. Then
Excuse me, sir.
emotions.
Join once again, sir.
Yes, madam.
Dear students, please join once again. This is a recurring meeting ID.